Welcome to today's episode of the J&J podcast. I'm Jamie,
This is Jameson.
and I want to welcome our listeners in. First on tap for today, we're going to jump right in. A lot of stuff has been happening in the NFL. Lots of free agent movement. So we're going to start there with the NFL. Jameson, I'm going to let you kick it off. Some moves that have been happening. The first one, DK Metcalf.
Yeah, and what we can do is I have some names listed out. What we'll do is I'll list a name, you give your thoughts, I'll give my thoughts, and then we'll just keep it moving.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, we'll
yeah.
do that. DK Metcalf, I'll be honest, I love him being in Pittsburgh. But the thing was, whenever they first made that move and made the trade, first they traded for him, and then on top of that, they then gave him a $150 million contract with some good guaranteed dollars. And I really like that move at first. So I'm like, man, he would be perfect with Justin Fields and George Pickens. We'll get to Justin Fields. He's no longer on that roster. And currently, right now, it's like Russell Wilson's technically a free agent. He might end up re-signing with the Steelers, and there's another name that we'll get to a little bit later along this list. But on paper, I do really like that move. A lot of it's just going to depend on who's their quarterback heading into next season for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But your thoughts on DK Metcalf ended up in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, for me right now, it's a TBD.
Yeah,
Simply because I don't know who's going to be throwing the football to him. If it, to your point, had Justin Fields been, they actually given him the opportunity this year to be the quarterback, I actually like that move for the Steelers. I have no idea now. And based on the speculation that's out there about who it could potentially be, if that ends up being the person, then I'm not going to like it.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
and again, we'll talk about who that might be. Yeah, for me, Metcalf, it's a TBD.
yeah. Next move. This was honestly a shocker to me because I thought honestly this brother was going to end up wherever Aaron Rodgers ended up. But Devontae Adams to the Rams. Your thoughts, and I'll give mine after.
I like it. I like it. I think that, he had that, or at least he thought he had, the special chemistry, the synergy with Aaron Rodgers. He wasn't the problem. Aaron Rodgers was. So I like this move. I think, pairing him up with
Puka
oh no.
Nakua.
Yes, why that's a 1-2 punch
I'm
that I
telling
really,
you.
really like.
Yep.
So for me, this one I'm gonna give it, if I had to give it a rating, I'll probably say a B plus
Yes,
for
sir.
right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that move.
No, I'll be honest. I absolutely love the move. I mean, first off, they lost Cooper Kupp, so now, like you said, you now have two low key number one guys. Puka Nakua is a top 10 wide receiver, and Devontae Adams is still my opinion. Still a top 10 wide receiver. He's one of the best route runners we've seen in NFL history. And now I think you pair him up with just an absolute dynamo of a quarterback with Matthew Stafford, because the Rams re-signed him as well. I now think you have a really potent offense, and now they'll also have Kyren Williams back. As long as Kyren Williams can stay healthy, that Rams defense is going to allow the Rams offense to be on the field a whole lot. And now having someone like Devontae Adams just like for Matthew Stafford to throw the ball to, I think Devontae Adams could be a really good player for fantasy too, because a lot of the attention is going to be on Puka Nakua. It's going to be a similar situation to if you remember when Ben Roethlisberger was still with the Steelers and they had Juju Smith-Schuster and Antonio Brown. And Juju Smith, the game was so easy for him. He got so many touches because all the focus was on Antonio Brown. I thought this could be a similar type situation. I absolutely love the move for the LA Rams.
Yep, agreed.
Next name we're going to get to, Sam Darnold. I was honestly shocked. I did not. Honestly, I thought there was going to be a strong chance he ended up back with the Vikings, but he signed a massive contract with the Seattle Seahawks. Your thoughts?
I don't understand it. I'm
Yeah.
just like I'm just kind of baffled because like Gino was getting it done. I don't understand. I mean, Darnold made sense to stay for them to re-sign him with the Vikings. I'm completely confused by that. I mean, I know once they got to the playoffs, he didn't play well in that game, but I mean, he had proven during the course of the season that he could actually, stack some wins,
Yeah.
keep stacking. Um, but I just it doesn't make sense to me. And I think honestly they've kind of overshot simply because they got rid of Gino, and I think a lot of folks are looking at that like, what are you doing? So now they're trying to save face,
Yeah.
and I think sometimes when you're trying to save face, you do too much,
Yep.
and so I don't think he deserved that kind of money, to be perfectly honest with you.
I completely agree. And I will say Sam Darnold was top 5 in passing yards and passing touchdowns in the regular season. It's just I'm telling you that last 2 or 3 games in the regular season and that first round playoff game that he had, that honestly lost him millions of dollars, that stretch,
Yes.
because he was absolutely terrible. But I will say this: I like Sam Darnold. I think he's a good quarterback, and of course, it's like it's hard to say, oh, this person shouldn't have gotten this amount of money. Unfortunately, it's like he's a quarterback, and that's kind of what the market commands at this point. But my concern for him is just like, bro, who are you throwing the football to? You just traded
Hmm.
DK Metcalf. Tyler Lockett's no longer going to be on that team. Kenneth Walker will still be there in the backfield, so that can help him out some. Because I mean, I feel like also what helped him out too with the Vikings was Aaron Jones had a really, really good year. Made the helped them to be able to establish the run. So I feel like they can do that. But outside of Jackson Smith, JSN for the Seahawks, I'm like, who in the world is he gonna actually be throwing the football to? The thing is, if they would have still had DK and Tyler Lockett, I absolutely love that move for the Seahawks. But similar to the DK Metcalf situation, kind of TBD because I don't know who in the world he's going to be throwing the football to. And speaking of Geno, you brought up that name. That was actually the next name. Give me your thoughts on Geno Smith ending up with the Oakland Raiders. And I will throw out there, he's now reunited with his old coach, Pete Carroll.
Oh, I love this move.
Same.
Yeah, I actually love this move. I think that what it's showing is the Raiders are legitimately trying
Yeah.
now.
They
um,
re-signed
you know,
Crosby as well. That was
that's
huge.
right.
Yes, sir.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
I think that's huge. Now remind me, their running game. I think that that's one area they've got to really
Oh,
kind of
it
solidify.
it needs some work. With
It
all due
needs a whole
respect.
bunch of work. That's
Yeah.
what I thought. Like that right there is it pretty much confirms what I was thinking because I
Yeah.
can't remember who their running backs were.
Yeah.
So I like this move for him. I like the fact that he's being reunited with Pete Carroll, and I think the fact that the Seahawks, I mean, decided they were going to move on from him. This was probably the best place that he could land,
I agree.
and I think he has some pieces in place. I love Jacoby Myers.
Yep. And they
Um,
have Brock Bowers.
and they've got Brock Bowers. So I think that, that to me makes sense for him. And I think he got a pretty decent contract too.
Yeah, I
If
mean, well,
if
he's
I
still on his contract, so they still got to pay the remainder of it.
Right.
And that's the thing. This could kind of be a proving year for him because it's like if he plays really good, he could get another fat contract after
Yeah.
this.
Yes.
Because
So
the Raiders have desperately needed a QB.
absolutely.
Hmm.
So I give this actually a B plus because, and when I say a B plus, more so for him because the Raiders, they don't typically get it right when it comes to their quarterbacks.
Yeah,
So I'm giving them a B plus because I think this is a solid move, especially having Pete Carroll as the head coach.
I like that.
Yep.
Next name, and honestly, I wholeheartedly agree with you. I'm not even gonna, just give my thoughts on Gene. I completely agree. The next two names I'm gonna list are actually players that re-signed with their teams, the current team they were on. The first one is J.C. Horn with the Panthers, and I'm gonna throw this out there. A lot of people are indifferent about it. He's now the highest paid cornerback in NFL history. And here's what I'm gonna say. I'll go and give my thoughts and then lead it to your thoughts. People were complaining like, "Oh, overpay, holy overpay." I'm like, unfortunately, the Panthers have been a poverty franchise. They're gonna have to overpay for players. Like,
Yes.
it's not like nobody wants to complain Carolina. First off, unfortunately, it's not like it doesn't compare to like New York or Miami, those type of places. But the thing is, I think what a lot of people are complaining about is like he's been injury prone. But when J.C. Horn's been on the field, he's a top 5 to 6 cornerback in all of football, in my opinion. He's a shutdown man-to-man type of cornerback, and I actually think. Of course, they did pay a lot of money, but I think the Panthers are learning from a lot of their previous mistakes. Like you see what they did with McCaffrey. You
Hmm.
draft a young guy, you develop him, and then you just let him walk, and then go to a contender. I'm actually glad for the Panthers' sake that they were able to re-sign J.C. Horn. So I think overall it's a good move. But your thoughts?
I agree. I mean, sometimes when you have a really, really good player and
Yeah,
you know that you need to keep that good player, you have to pay.
yeah,
That's I mean, and the asking price for him, if he had gone somewhere else, they would have paid for him. Listen, let's look at what happened with Saquon Barkley
yeah.
and him leaving the Giants. The Giants not doubling down on a guy who is basically a franchise player for you
Yep.
because it wasn't your quarterback. Um, so if you've got a guy like J.C. Horn, you're the Panthers because to your point, you're not going to get a lot of free agents who want to come there.
No.
If you've got guys in house, you've got to pay them. So
Yep.
given that it's the Panthers, I'm giving this a B. I'm actually
Same.
it's and given that it's the Panthers, a B is a good thing.
Facts. No,
So
I like that.
yeah,
Next name. I was actually kind of shocked by this. I thought he was actually going to end up getting traded because of all the back and forth. But Myles Garrett re-signing with the Browns. He's now the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. And I got to give a shout out to his agent. I'm blanking on her name right now. She's the same one that's the agent for Jalen Hurts. But she's been
yep,
getting brothers paid, man. Shout out to
she
her.
has absolutely. No, I was a little bit surprised by this as well. But there comes a point when you're a guy like Miles Garrett and you've proven yourself,
Yep.
because folks were like, well, he's just another one who takes the money. Of course, you take the money.
Yep.
Come on, man. I mean, at the end of the day, we know that running backs are undervalued. Some skill positions are undervalued. When you've got a Miles Garrett, and apparently the owner was like, nah, this is one dude
He was
we're not going to
smart.
let get away. He
He
was
did. He
actually
did the
smart.
opposite of what the Giants did with Saquon. It's
Yes,
like,
and
bro,
he did the
yeah,
opposite of what the Browns typically used to do.
yep,
So I'm not mad at Miles Garrett, and I'm not mad at the Browns.
no,
I'll give this one a solid B.
yep,
For Miles Garrett, B plus because
yep.
you go get that paper.
Get that paper. And the agent's name was Nicole, and it just came back to me.
Yes,
Shout out to
that's right,
her.
Nicole.
Um,
Absolutely.
and then the next name is I was shocked by this, but I love the move.
Mm.
Justin Fields to the Jets on a 2-year, $40 million contract. I'm gonna be
Get
honest.
that paper, Justin.
I'm gonna
Get
be
it.
honest. I love the move, and the reason why I say that is I think Aaron Glenn now being the head coach there, he's gonna hold. He's gonna that defense is gonna be very elite. I now
Yep.
think Justin Fields. He had games for the Steelers where I mean he's a genuine dual threat quarterback, and he's still young. He's still in his
Yes.
20s. People forget like there was a strong debate on whether the Bears should have just kept Justin Fields instead of drafting Caleb Williams. Like people forget that's literally last year.
Well, I
Heading
think
into
there's some people that still think that.
Oh, I genuinely still think they should have. I think that was a
It's
dumb move
proven.
by them. But
Yes.
now, from an offensive perspective, you'll still have Brees Hall. You'll still have now. People forget Garrett Wilson and Justin Fields played at Ohio State together. They already have that chemistry. They have
Yep.
that relationship. I absolutely love the move, and I think if all bodes well, Justin Fields can be the quarterback of the future for the Jets. In
Yep.
my opinion, so I think this is a perfect situation for him.
Listen, because Aaron Glenn is now going to be the head coach,
Yep.
I'm giving this a B plus.
Yeah. I'm
Uh,
giving it an A. I'm gonna be this.
Okay.
It's been my favorite free agent move so far because it was a shocker, and I think
Yeah.
it's a value. You're getting Justin Fields for $20 million a year
Yeah.
at this age in the quarterback market. That's good ball.
That's actually very good ball. No,
Yeah.
okay, B plus plus.
Yeah, I like that.
For me to give an A, it's gotta
Yeah. No, I get
so yeah, so I'm gonna say a B plus plus, and that's partially to all the all the reasons that you listed, but also the fact that Aaron Glenn is now the head coach.
Yeah.
I can appreciate the fact that I am certain, I am confident that he will develop Justin Fields. He will make sure that the play calling is aligned with what Justin Fields does well. And then he'll also ask Justin Fields just to not turn the ball over because he's going to have a ridiculous defense. We know that.
Yep.
So B plus plus. I'll leave it at that.
I like that. Next name. We only have a couple more. Daniel Jones today ended up signing I think he's getting $14 million a year with the Indianapolis Colts. I'm gonna be honest. On paper, I absolutely hate the move. And the reason why I said no, and it's no disrespect to Daniel Jones. I just thought he would have been better off staying with the Vikings. They don't have Sam Darnold now, and then it's like J.J. McCarthy is still coming off an injury. I thought Daniel Jones should have just stayed with the Vikings. I thought that would have been the perfect situation for him. They already have a really good offensive system, really good defense. Kevin O'Connell's one of the best, offensive minds and best coaches in football. I'm like, I really thought he was going to stay with the Vikings, especially after Sam Darnold ended up going to the Seahawks. And my thing is with the Colts, it's like he's going to have to compete for that starting quarterback job. He wasn't really going to have to compete with the Vikings. Like, if I were him, I would have taken less money to stay in a better situation. Because,
Head scratcher.
yeah, if Anthony Richardson has a really good offseason and he can stay healthy, he's quarterback one there. They just drafted him with the 3rd pick 2 years ago. They're not going to give up on him that fast. So, I mean, my thing is, for both sides, I'm like, if I'm the Colts, why do you pay somebody that much money to be a backup quarterback? You could have just went and gotten Joshua Dobbs or Jameis Winston type player to be there to help Anthony Richardson develop. Paying Daniel Jones that much money when we haven't seen him play football since he played in London last year is absolutely bad ball. But your thoughts?
I don't have a lot of thoughts. I mean, last time we saw Daniel Jones, he stunk up the joint.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. I don't understand it. To your point, he should have stayed with the Vikings. Because at the end of the day, he would have probably gotten the job simply because he has more experience, more reps. With the Colts, as long as Anthony Richardson can stay healthy, Daniel Jones will now be probably the highest paid backup in the NFL.
He on his Jimmy G vibes.
Exactly. So I don't have a lot to say about that one. I'm not even giving it a grade because it makes no sense to me.
Next one is actually it's a trade. It's a trade. Word to word to Jamal Charles.
Word to Jamal Charles.
But the next one was let's go Chiefs. But Laramie Tunsil ended up getting traded to the Washington Commanders. This is honestly one of my favorite moves so far throughout free agency because it was unexpected, and he's a top 3. He might be number 2 left tackle in all of football right now. So what this shows me is, first off, I absolutely love the move, and what it shows me is the Commanders are in win now mode. And I'll go as far as to say this: if they can get Trey Hendrickson from the Bengals, like just make a trade for him or something like that, because I know he requested a trade a couple of days ago. If they can just beef up their pass rush, I'm telling you, the Commanders can be right back in the NFC Championship game next year, right there with the likes of like the Philadelphia Eagles. They're that good. And I absolutely love this move because you add more protection for Jaden Daniels. He's still in his rookie contract. I feel like the Commanders are on win now mode. You got Debo, you got Terry McLaurin. I still think they need to go get like one more good receiver. And hopefully they can get one in the draft, like maybe somebody like Luther Burden. But outside of that, I absolutely love this move. But your thoughts?
So far I've given B's, B pluses, TBDs. This is an A.
Yeah.
I don't even have to say a bunch about it.
Yeah.
Bottom line is, we know that in the NFC, the Eagles are probably going to be preseason favorites. I've got the Commanders right there.
Yep, same here.
Really do. It's hard not to when you look at the moves that they've made. Shout out to the Tar Heel that they decided to keep.
Who?
James.
De'Ami Brown?
Receiver.
Oh, he's gone. He's not there.
What?
Yeah, he signed with the Jaguars.
See, I missed that.
Yep.
I missed it.
Yeah, he's gone.
Because we were talking about that, and I was like, man, if they decided to keep him and Debo,
yeah.
Because he's a slot receiver, but he's gone. Okay. Well, still, regardless, I would still say that this is an A, and it shows that, like you said, they're in win mode now. And I don't necessarily know, besides the Eagles, NFC East is probably where the Super Bowl champions are going to come from again.
Yeah, I completely
agree.
That's
what I really believe that.
I agree.
I really believe that. So I love that move.
Yes, sir. And the next two are just where you would like these players to land. So the first one is Aaron Rodgers. And here's what I'm going to say. I think Aaron Rodgers is actually going to end up with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think they kind of have no choice. And I will say this. I know you're not going to like me saying this, but I think he's actually a decent fit with the Steelers. I'm not going to say it's a match made in heaven. But, I mean, for DK Metcalf, George Pickens, decent run game, they'll still have Warren. They lost Najee Harris. He ended up signing with the Chargers. But I do think Aaron Rodgers will end up being a good fit with the Steelers. The other team he's been linked to is the Giants. If I'm the Giants, I don't do that. I think if I'm the Giants, I do everything I can to either get Shador Sanders or Cam Ward. I think that's what their focus should be, getting your quarterback of the future, not an aging guy. But I do think, depending on how much he's commanding, I think he'll be a perfect fit for the Steelers. And if I'm them, honestly, I would bring back him and try to bring back Russell Wilson. There's no
Yeah.
reason not to. Allow them to compete. Iron sharpens iron, they always say. And you didn't have two veteran guys. If Aaron Rodgers thinks up the joint, you'll still have Russell Wilson, and vice versa. But your thoughts?
Yeah, you said where do I think Aaron Rodgers should end up? In retirement.
The
That's where I
the
think he should end
UFL.
up. Yes, that's where he should end up. The CFL. They still have the Canadian Football League.
Yeah, they do.
That's where he should end up.
Insane.
I'm tired of talking about this dude, to be perfectly honest with you. So if he ends up with the Steelers, then yeah, I think you can have he and Russell Wilson compete. I just think it's time for the dude to shut it down. I
I
really
agree.
do. He's more of a burden than he is, helpful to an organization, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And it's been that way now for the past couple of years.
hmm
So I mean, I hate to say this, but I don't really care where he ends up.
No,
I don't.
that's very fair. Like I said, at this point, I wouldn't mind seeing him on the Steelers, but it's got to be for the right price. And
Yes.
the reason why I say that is Mike Tomlin ain't about to go for all that extra. I can tell. That's why I said I actually think it could work.
Yeah.
But
Because it's Tomlin.
exactly,
I agree.
like a lot
Yeah.
of the coaches, I wouldn't feel good about. But Mike
Yeah.
Tomlin is like Mike Tomlin has established that culture with the Steelers. Like he doesn't care who comes in. Like he's gonna do things his way, and it's worked. Like, but
That actually might be entertaining now that I think about it.
yeah,
To
that's what I'm
see
saying. It could be. It
to
could
see
actually
him on
work.
that team. Yeah, and him acting entitled, and Mike Tomlin looks at him and says, "Go have a seat."
Yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
look at it like this. Like, you have the weapons on offense. I mean, for Aaron Rodgers' sake, having DK and George Pickens to throw the football to, that's a match made.
Mm.
Like, that's you can't ask for a better wide receiver duo, in my opinion. And then on top of that, the defense is always top five in the NFL.
Yeah.
Um,
The question is, will he be able to get them the football? That's
I,
that's
I
that's
think
what
he
remains
can.
to be seen.
I think he can.
So,
We'll see.
all
But
right.
this is his last chance. If he goes to
Yes.
the Steelers and sneaks up the joint, rev up those fryers. It's time to go.
Absolutely.
Last name, and we can make this quick. Cooper Kupp, because now with Devontae Adams ending up on the Rams, it's pretty much a done deal that he's gonna either get traded or just be released in general. Where would you like to see Cooper Kupp end up? I can tell you my team, and you're gonna be like,
Well,
"Wow, that's actually good."
you tell me where you think.
I want to see him on the Baltimore Ravens, and the reason I say
Mm.
that is, think about this: when does Lamar Jackson play with a route running wide receiver like Cooper Kupp? They
Yeah.
need him because think about those games when Zay Flowers was hurt last year. Like they like their best wide receiver weapon was a tight end. It was Isaiah Likely. So I think Cooper Kupp would be perfect for Lamar Jackson. You then have a pure route runner, like one of the best route runners of all time, and I think Cooper Kupp's going to be motivated. I would love to see him with the Ravens, either them or the Texans. I think he would be great with C.J. Stroud as well. But your thoughts?
Well, well, the team that I was actually thinking about, so that he wouldn't have to completely leave the state, uh, would actually be the team that Geno Smith ended up with.
Oh, the Raiders. That's
Um,
actually a good fit as well.
yeah, I think that, I mean, Geno's going to have somebody to throw the football to, and he's going to have someone that he can kind of rely on. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
I agree.
And like he's got to have a guy that is dependable, and is going to be his kind of go-to guy.
I agree.
So I could see him, and man, think about it. Pete Carroll would absolutely get the best out of Cooper Kupp.
Yeah,
So I mean, certainly, I mean, because we're Lamar fans.
yeah,
I would love for Lamar to get him on his squad, but if not, then I would love to see Geno Smith have, that would be his go-to guy.
I agree.
So either of those two, I think would be ideal.
Yes, sir. And then,
So
no, you go ahead. Transition. My fault. My fault.
no. I was just gonna say one last thing too, because it's not a name that we listed, but I'm now going to have to. I mean, I'm not going to root for the Cowboys, but did you see that they're signing running back from the Tar Heels, Javante Williams?
I saw that. Yeah, from the
Yeah,
Broncos.
from the Broncos. So That is an interesting move.
I like it. It's a 1 year deal. They got him
Yeah.
for cheap. My thing is, bro, it's just the Cowboys run people into the ground. That's the only.
Yes.
And my thing is too, like they still might end up drafting another running back. I think they should go
I'm
out there
sure
and
they
try to get
will.
Genty. Reports have said they're going to try to get somebody later in the draft. So now I think having Javante is like he can't be worse than what they had last year. So
Thank you.
yeah, I think it's a good
Exactly.
move.
So I'm going to root for him to do well. I'm just not rooting for them to do well.
Facts.
So, all right, let's transition to the NBA. And if Jameson, if you want, we've got a few topics on here. We can kind of do, I won't say rapid fire, but
Yeah, we can make it quick though.
make it kind of quick. So, the first topic is LeBron and Stephen A. We've got to talk about this.
Yeah,
And
I love it.
because
I
it's
love what LeBron did.
yes, it's been the hubbub that's been going around for a while, and Stephen A. keeps trying to act like others are talking about it and they're siding with him. No, they're not.
Yeah,
No, they're not. Um, keep that man's son out of your mouth.
yeah,
And never has there been this kind of scrutiny on the 55th pick
I know.
ever. None.
And my thing is, what's
And
wild is I'm gonna say this: Bronny has been really good in the G League. He just doesn't
yes,
get a lot of minutes in the NBA right now. And part of that is he's on a Lakers team that's winning. It's not like
that's
we
right.
suck. Like if he was on the Hornets right now, Bronny would at least average 10+ points, 4 assists, 4 rebounds because he would get
Yes.
playing time. The Lakers, he's not gonna get absolutely any playing time right now because we're winning games. JJ Redick has his rotation, but he's been absolutely balling out in the G League. Like Bronny's putting up better numbers in the G League than some of the first round picks. Like, for example, Reed Shepard, that got
Yes.
drafted like in the top 5 to 10 for the Rockets. He's been a G League player. Guess who's averaging more points and assists and rebounds? Bronny
Right.
James. He was the
Absolutely.
55th pick. And
Yes.
the Stephen A thing, it's wild. We were just talking about this on last week's episode, just the whole media thing. And it's like, bro, this is our prime example of you continually talk about LeBron every single day in
Yep.
and day out. Like, and it's all, and that's the thing. You'll give him his credit sometimes, but there's always negativity because he's just biased towards Michael Jordan. And my thing
Yep.
is, I'm like, bruh, Bronny's a good kid. He's also young. He's still developing. I think long term, we've said this from the jump. Bronny's going to be a really solid NBA player long term, and I commend him because I couldn't imagine having to deal with the pressure of being LeBron James' son. So I just
Yep.
commend Bronny all the time. He carries himself the right way. Really good basketball player, good kid. They always say. My thing is, how do you sit up there and criticize someone like that because he's LeBron's son, but you're not criticizing Marcus Jordan, Michael Jordan's son,
Thank you.
given all the
Thank
stuff
you.
that's happened with him? Like
Yep.
I've heard more negative about Bronny when this joker literally had a DUI. Are you kidding me?
Yes. And these are much older grown men.
That's what I'm saying. Bronny has
That's
done nothing to be in the headlines off the court in a negative way.
absolutely. I agree.
It baffles me. So I'm glad LeBron said what he said, and I promise you this now. I bet you Stephen A. won't say another word about Bronny. I'm
I bet
telling
he
you,
won't.
he keep it up. Them Clutch Sports Tahoe is gonna be up right outside of his apartment. Keep it up, bro. Keep it up.
Exactly. Well, speaking of LeBron, well, let's talk briefly about his injury. What do you think are the long-term effects? Should the Lakers be concerned, because of that injury, or can we hold court? Because I'm not sure. Here's what I will say before I give you the floor.
Mhm.
I think with Rui, if we are able to get Rui back,
Yeah, and Jackson
so
Hayes.
and Jackson Hayes sooner than later, then I think we can stay above water.
I
I
agree.
do. But those two guys have to come back.
I completely
Um,
agree because it
you
showed
know,
last night. We lost to the
yes,
Brooklyn Nets, and I will say
exactly.
this: part of that was a lack of effort. Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic just had an absolute stinker combined,
Yes.
absolute stinker.
Yeah.
But then outside of that, like Gabe Vincent had a really good performance. We just didn't give effort. Dudes were shooting wide open threes, like JJ Redick talked about it after the game. We just didn't come to play. And I
Yeah.
will say, last night we were missing Dorian Finney-Smith, no Rui Hachimura, no Jackson Hayes. If we have 2 out of those 3 players, in my opinion, even in spite of how we gave a lack of effort, we win that
Oh,
game. We lost by 3 points.
yeah, we would have
Um,
won that game by 10 points had those guys, at least one of those guys had played.
Exactly, because I already
Yeah,
know Rui and DFS, they're going to give effort along with Jackson Hayes. We were missing that last night.
absolutely.
And here's what I'm going to say about LeBron's injury, and I know this is going to sound crazy. I actually think LeBron's injury is a blessing in disguise because right now, The Lakers literally have the worst stretch of basketball that any team can play. They're playing 5 games in a matter of 7 days, and on top of
Nice.
that, they're also rough opponents. We're playing like the Thunder twice, the Nuggets, the Knicks. Like it's bad ball.
It's murderer's row.
It's murder. I'm telling you. So
Yeah.
my biggest thing is LeBron now gets to rest for a week and a half to 2 weeks because he wouldn't have gotten this rest if he was playing. You know what I'm saying? If he was fully healthy. And we dodged a bullet because LeBron, people forget about that groin injury he had. I think it was 2019, 20. That year we still had Lonzo and those players, but LeBron missed like 17 games. He was out for almost 2 months. The fact that it's only an injury where it's a week and a half to 2 weeks and is right before the playoffs, it allows him to get some extra rest. And here's what I'm going to say too. This also is going to be a proving time for Luka Doncic. Because my thing is just like, you're not going to have LeBron forever, bro. LeBron might play another 2-3 seasons. I mean, he is Superman. I could see him playing 4 more seasons. Realistically, it's really LeBron's choice at this point. But we literally this is your time to prove like, yeah, this trade was worth it. Like, we're in good hands after LeBron leaves. And trust me, I think we're gonna be. I'm still over the moon about the Luka trade. He's been phenomenal so far. And we still haven't even seen the best of Luka Doncic basketball wise. Like, he's still trying to find his rhythm. And people got to remember too, he's coming off a calf injury. But I think this next couple of weeks can be a good stretch for the Lakers because it can allow guys like Austin Reeves to get back into a rhythm. Allow guys like Gabe Vincent to find their confidence just like he did last night. I think it bodes well. So by the time we get LeBron back, everybody's still locked in. Dudes are healthy, more rest, and on top of that, JJ Redick can also play around with some different lineup combinations like he did last night. He started Alex Len. I mean, he kind of had no choice, but you can now gauge how some of these lineups are going to work, what dudes play well with each other, that sort of thing. And like
who
you said,
can rely on
exactly, and it's a proving ground. Yep. Because my thing is now too, in this next 2 weeks, Austin Reeves, you need to get back to being a primary ball handler and just being ball dominant. You can't have stinkers like you did last night.
Absolutely.
Same with Luka. So I think we're going to be just fine. The Lakers just got to stay within the top 5. If they can do that, we're good.
Well, that's literally the last point that I was going to make. It might not be the worst thing from a positioning perspective.
Yeah.
Where we end up because if we stayed at 2, some of these matchups,
it'd be terrible. Oh, Dad, hold on real quick. I'm so sorry to cut you off. Breaking news: DeAndre Hopkins just signed with the Baltimore Ravens. Lord have mercy.
Shut up.
Lord have mercy.
Well, then, yeah. Cooper who?
Yeah, sorry, Cooper.
All right, Cooper. I mean, hopefully, Pete Carroll doesn't actually go out and gets him now.
Yeah, facts.
Try to get him, pair him up with Geno Smith. I'm good. Yeah. I'm good with this. I'm very good with this.
D-Hop to the Ravens is absolutely good ball.
Breaking news. Yes.
I love that.
Sir.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Ravens.
My fault, though. Back to what you were saying about the Lakers. No. I had to share that.
We welcome breaking news on the J&J podcast.
Facts.
That's good ball.
Yes, sir. That's fantastic ball.
Absolutely. All right. We can multitask and jump right back to the NBA. Who's your NBA MVP, Jamison?
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I know Luka. I know Jokic had that 30, 20, 20 game, the whole 9, but Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the clear-cut MVP to me. They have, I think it's 12 more wins than the Nuggets right now. One of the best records in all of basketball. And I just look at it like this. If you don't have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on that team right now, I think the Thunder are like a 7 seed, 6 seed maybe. Because Chet's been out. J-Dub has been good, but he plays better with Shai in the lineup. But Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is definitely my clear-cut MVP. And it should be back-to-back this year. He got hold last year, too.
Agree. I don't even need to go into because I'm so tired of hearing all the pundits say, "Oh, it's neck and neck." They're going back and forth. One night it's Shai. One night, no, it's not. It's Shai. Period. Yep. It is Shai.
I don't even think it's close. That's what's wild.
I don't either. I don't think it's close.
Yeah.
I would agree. All right. So who's your current favorite in each conference?
Okay.
And we can do that rapid fire.
Okay, yeah. So my favorite in the East, I know it's going to shock a lot of people, is the Cleveland Cavaliers. It's just the Celtics. They'll get big leads, but they blow leads a lot. And on top of that, I don't trust Jason Tatum come playoff time.
Boy, you beat me to it.
Those are
There
my
it is.
thoughts on the Cavs, and I think Kenny Atkinson is really the difference maker for them this year. He makes good adjustments. He's a great coach compared to bigger staff. So yeah, those are my thoughts for the East, and then
That's for the
West.
Yep.
It's the Thunder. I mean, I hate to say this, like that's really the only team I'm concerned about for the Lakers if we match up against them. It's the Oklahoma City Thunder. It's just their depth, their coaching is great. They have the MVP, and then it's just they have a really good like lineup combinations. Throwing Caruso out there, Lou Dort, Chet, Jalen Williams, like they got a really complete roster.
They do. I agree with you with the Cavaliers. You kind of stole my thunder because I don't trust Jason Tatum. All this, the stuff that he's doing during the regular season. At the second quarter of the game against the Cavaliers, and he's telling people to get out of here, and then you end up losing. Yeah, I'm like, nah, I don't trust you, bruh. I don't trust you at all. So I'm rolling with the Cavaliers because I think Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland has taken that next step. Um, Jared Allen and oh my gosh,
Evan Mobley,
yes, Mobley,
yeah,
exactly.
that E Mobley
Evan Mobley,
monster.
that Mobley boy, that Mobley monster is scary
Him and D
because he's
Mitch.
consistent
Woohoo.
and he's consistent. And Donovan Mitchell has pretty much looked at everybody else and said, "Y'all can't stop me."
Yeah, I ain't gonna
I do what
lie.
I do what I want to
He's
do.
having one of the best shoes you could have. This brother
Yes.
back Coco Jones and is absolutely just hooping for the Cavs. That's good
Yes.
ball.
He's having a Jalen Hurts type of year.
Facts. He
That's
really
what it
is.
Yeah, he's having one of those. So I'm gonna go with the Cavaliers. Yes, it's the Thunder. Here's what I will say about the Lakers. If we're healthy, I'm not. I'm not going to count the Lakers out. A team that has LeBron James and you have to play them 7 times.
Facts.
Um,
And Luka.
and now with Luca, I'm not counting that team out.
I
So
agree.
yes, the Thunder are the favorites, but in a 7-game series with a LeBron James and a Luca, a LeBron James who knows how to play in the playoffs, the Thunder who have not quite been there yet.
Yeah.
I don't count the Lakers out. But to your point, I will go with OKC for the West.
Couldn't have said it any
So
better.
absolutely. All right. So closing out this episode, we're gonna go to moving the needle. Jameson, I'll let you start with yours first because I want to take about a minute with mine.
Yeah, mine was just gonna be LeBron getting to the 50K point mark. Like it's just
Oof.
absolutely insane. It's just I don't like. I remember at first with Kareem, it was like nobody's ever gonna beat Kareem's record, and LeBron did. But I can wholeheartedly say nobody's eclipsing LeBron points wise. He's gonna be the all time leading scorer unless Jesus Christ himself decides to come play basketball. That's my moving the needle. Shout out to LeBron Raymond James
Yeah, and listen. The crazy part about that is he didn't come into the league being
as
a
a
scorer.
scorer. It's insane.
It's insane. So can't nothing else that really needs to be added to that. My moving the needle is the hiring of Jim Tanner for UNC basketball as UNC basketball's GM. Boss move,
Yep.
like ridiculously excellent move for the Carolina Tar Heels. My Tar Heels, Jim Tanner. You look at this man's resume. One of the best agents out there. Started with Marvin Williams. You can go down the list of players, and now having him as the GM now opens up that international pipeline, which I think is going to be huge for Hubert Davis. I think next year, the fact that he signed that 2-year deal. Listen, everybody's walking around. We all had our opinions. We were all like, I don't know if he's going to be here next year. Hubert Davis was looking at all the rest of us and said, "Here go 2 more for y'all. Here go 2 more. Here go 2 more for y'all. I got an extension. So keep talking." We got Jim Tanner in house now. I think things are definitely looking up. It'll be interesting to see. I know we play, I think Notre Dame tomorrow, whether or not we can make a run in the ACC tournament. But this bodes well. Jim Tanner is. This is if I had to put another grade, this is my second A for the day.
Yes, sir.
Jim Tanner is an A hire. So I'm excited about Carolina basketball's future, what it has been, and now what it should be going forward. So that's my moving the needle. Um, all right, that's going to do it for this week's episode. Thanks everybody for listening in.